Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Hi, everybody. So exciting. I get so excited. I'm sure, Sean, that's why you and Jenny like to run the Zooms, because you get excited when you prepare. I think I learn more when I prepare than when I actually sit and just listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Okay. So second half of our GLS summit, and going in a little bit more in depth than what we were before. Last week we just skimmed over the top. So this week we're going to go a little bit more into the depth. So are we inspired by a vision of transformation? Can you make a personal difference for good? Now that's a silly question in this business, because we know we can. So that's not even debatable. We know that we can make a personal difference for good. And what is your personal influence? What is your circle of influence? From you, is it government? Is it ministry? Is it non-profit, family, education, arts and entertainment, next generation, or business? And I think with Neolife, it's all of it, isn't it? We don't just in one little section. That's what's so wonderful about this business. And when you gather current or potential influences, so every time we have connections with anyone in those circles that I've told you about, we don't have to just stay with non-profit organizations or educational organizations like teachers, etc. We've got the whole lot. So we've got a lot of influence, and we can gather a lot of people. But are we gathering them with passion and humility? And that is the thing. Sometimes I think we lose our passion, and maybe we lose some of our humility by being overconfident, know it all, that sort of thing. So we lose our humility. And describe your glimpse of what you would prefer your future to be. Who will you gather? And what type of person do you want to gather? Think about it and then go for it. I know that we, in the past, we used to say, just go for everyone, don't judge anybody. But I can remember Ingrid Roberts saying that when she chose people who she wouldn't mind inviting to her dinner table or going out to supper with. Okay. So does this team already exist? So do you have a team in place? Have you already got a team? Because if you haven't got a team, that's where you've got to start. Team of influence. Greatness is found in extremities. Remember I said last time, all leaders have got extremities. They're not narrow-minded. They're not in small channels. They've got extremities, and they're huge. They're huge. Okay. And confident. We're confident in our business. We're confident in our product, but do we have humility? The other one is driven and healthy. Are we driven? But you know, some people, like they in a business, for instance, they're driven to so much. They're CEOs. They are driven. That their family suffer, their health suffers, everything suffers, because their whole emphasis and focus is on the bottom line. Focus and flexibility. Are you focused in your business? Do you know where you're going? Have you planned? Are you going in where you are focused? Yet are you flexible? In other words, do you mind bending a little bit here or there? As long as your morals are not compromised, it's quite okay to be flexible. I'd like to just quote, like with Charlie, he always says, yeah, we can try that, but try it with one leg, and if it works with one leg, then go for the rest. But otherwise, don't just put it out there. So do we have the it to make this work? Dominant extreme qualities and one to develop. So in other words, put in your little book or whatever you're writing on, you're confident and your humility, you're humble, with a line, and then gauge it. Are you more towards confident or more towards humble? Because you can be too humble, so humble that you just are too humble. You know what I mean? Or confident, but you're too confident. Okay. Driven and healthy. Are you so driven to do the business that your family and everybody's suffering? So that parameter as well. And another one is focused and flexible. Are you focused in your business that you want to get to director, but are you flexible enough to just take a detour every now and again, or to take a rest? So that's what your thing is. Then here, a growing leader is in a constant place of discomfort. And that is just so true. I can remember John and I coming home from work at 5 o'clock, fighting the traffic, getting home at 5:45. We had kids to feed, we had food to make, and he had to get out on the road. 5 days a week, he had to get out on the road. Sometimes I would go with him, and the kids would just have to have whatever there was. And that's where driven and health, that's where our health suffered, because we wouldn't eat properly. We would grab a burger on the road or something, because there's nowhere on the road can you get healthy food. Have you tried? It's all fast foods. So your priorities, be weird. Greatness is in the thing. Leaders that have the thing to make a success are both confident and humble. They're focused and flexible, driven and healthy, optimistic, but also realistic. Now, John is the absolute optimistic person, and I am a realistic person, so much so that I'm almost like on the negative side. So you've got to get the balance. So and I know he's so optimistic that if I say anything that's geez, PV's not looking good this month, he says, no, it's going to get better. It's got to, the people are working. Look at it. It's looking fantastic. It's not a problem. Meanwhile, we've got one day to go, But anyway, and he's usually right. And then are you direct? In other words, do you say it as it is? If someone makes an error or is on the wrong path, do you tell them? Or do you just, that's fine, carry on, no problem? But you can be direct, but you must also be kind. So don't be unkind in your directness. Some people are direct, but they're unkind. And sometimes you get a bit mixed up, okay? And I can quote somebody else on that, but I won't, okay? Connection blueprint, general traits. What are your general traits? What are your personal concerns? And what is your self-narrative? What do you talk to yourself? What are you saying? What do you think of yourself? Common self-narratives. You're either thinking you're a hero. Yeah, I'm great. I'm good. I'm doing well. Yeah. Like some of the sportsmen that you see, they go around, yeah, okay. Or they're a healer. They love to go around helping and healing, or are you a victim? And that is sometimes our biggest downfall. We tend to be a victim. So when things are going wrong, it's, oh, woe is me, and it's impossible to connect. It takes courage to connect with people. So to connect with people, ask better questions, ask deeper convictions, make deeper connections, and inspire people for good. That's a good one. When you think of some of the people in our leadership, I'm not talking near life, they inspire, but not for good. Okay, so self-narratives are actually self-cheating. We can correct it. There's no reason why we can't correct any of those. Effective leaders think differently. They use emotions to connect. So, we need to connect more. and we need to connect correctly. Sometimes you connect, I don't know what it is, but we've been talking to people, John and I, and we keep getting back, they're not ready now. Maybe it's timing. Maybe we didn't connect properly. So you need to have a look, introspect. Don't just accept it. And it's not always negative. In fact, the one lady, I'm so sure she will do so well. I'm going to ask her, I'm going to phone her and say, what did we do wrong? What was it that you decided that it's not for you? How am I going to learn if I don't know? I'll keep doing the same thing. Okay. Then growth, your mindset. What is our mindset? And I can remember Drew McDermott always saying, it's not about being good. It's not about being the best. It's all about getting better. Are you getting better? And if you're not, take stock. Don't be a victim of your own mindset. And we can be. We can say, oh, we're not getting better because the business doesn't work. The products are useless. We could go on and on and on. The people that we're with they keep dropping out. They don't know what they're doing. But what am I doing? If that's happening all the time, I must get better. I can't make anyone else get better. Create your own phrase, your own life to get out of a fixed mindset. Get out of it. Change your mindset. Shift it. Your mindset does matter. Matters very much so. Focus on progress. Where were you? Where are you now? And where do you want to be? Or where would you like to be? And as I said on Friday, write yourself a little note, a letter, and keep it. Keep it in your front of your Bible or whatever books you're reading or by your bed or whatever. Where are you now? Where were you? Where are you now? And where would you like to be? I know lots of people that have been in our business and they've done so well. And then, in fact, they've done so very well that they've gone on a sidetrack and done some other thing. And that you speak to them and they say, yes, near life, oh, Eagle Team really helped me. Those blooms, I really enjoyed the blooms and they really helped me in my business. And now I'm a director of this company and that company and the next company, and near life's gone by the side. So watch what you're doing. Keep humble. Keep humble. Okay. Have you got a growth mindset? And you can change it. You can change your mindset. That's the one thing you can change is your mindset. Okay. Going on from that. Missed that one. Right. I want to just ask you a few questions. And that is to do with where are we at? Value relationships and decent to people. And I'm sure we all are on this chat. Do we take risk and disrupt ourselves? If, for instance, today you are doing housekeeping and someone phones you and they want a super 10, do you say, well, look, I'm busy at the moment. They'd say they're in a hurry. Sorry, I'm busy, but I'll get back to you, or I'll phone you tomorrow, or whatever. Or do you drop what you're doing, go to the warehouse, pick up your one super 10 and deliver it quickly because they're going to the Berg and they need it, that sort of thing. Do you disrupt yourself for your team, for your people? Build bridges with people of different viewpoints. And that's quite a toughie, because it says you must gather people to yourself, but do you view people with different viewpoints? And with this, you can tell immediately. I'm just talking about John and I. I was in boarding school from an early age. In fact, I was 4 when I first went to boarding school. We had to. We were out on a farm, on a mine. There was no schooling, nothing. So I used to go board from Monday to Friday. And then in high school, I obviously went primary school. I went to a school local, but in high school, once again, there was no high school in our area, and I went to boarding school. And there you had to build bridges with people of different viewpoints. We mixed with a lot of different people. They're there. You didn't have to like them, but you lived with them, and therefore you worked accordingly. John never went to boarding school. So to him, he's not he's better with people when we first get to know, when introduce us and what have you. I'm more reserved, but once I get to know someone, I'm fine. But are you flexible with people? Or are you biased? Are both instinct and data to make important distinctions? Do you make an instinct important decision, or do you think about it? Do you weigh it up? Do you talk to people? Do you really chew on it before you make a decision? Be optimistic with a dose of realism, not pessimistic. So which of those attitudes do you consider crucial to developing yourself to be even more successful? So I'll ask you that. Can anybody give me an answer?
I tend to go with my gut quite a bit.
Do you? Good. Yeah, that's good.
You just open up with some neutral questions. Hi, how are you? And I've learned this with patients, in that some you can joke with, some you can't joke with, some you've got to be dead serious with, some you can make the odd joke with, and then you've got to settle down. So it's a matter of, I don't know, I've almost developed an instinct, I think, where you, as you say hello to a person, you can pick up where they're coming from. And then I always like to try and relax them as soon as possible. And I need to do that more from a business perspective. I've developed a way of doing it with patients, but I'm not always that way when it comes to business.
Yeah. Anyone else got any thoughts?
Yes, Debbie, I tend to do the same when I'm lecturing. You can immediately read the class, whether you have people that are open and open-minded, because I always start off with try and get them to laugh, get them relaxed. And some people just don't. It's like hitting against a brick wall. And the same with the business. If you start talking about the business, you learn to read people, and you learn to not judge them, but you learn to realize whether they're going to be open or not.
That's
and
right.
Just if they're not interested, you can waffle on for all day and they're not going to do anything. But some people grasp it immediately, some people grasp the product immediately, and they want it. Shame. Some people want the product so desperately, and then when you tell them the price, they say, oh, can't afford it, but let me save up and I'll get it at the end of the month. And those people you can work with. But when they say, nah, not interested, my doctor says, then you must know, closed, the door's closed.
And that's another point that I was going to bring up, is don't debate. Not debate, discuss. Don't debate, discuss. Right, where am I? Okay. Great leaders do 3 things: retire old habits, old thinkings, retire them, get rid of them, replace with new soundtrack. Start a new soundtrack in your mind. I can remember Charlie, when he first started, he used to play cassettes all night, get up and go, and he'd go to the toilet, come back, change the cassette around the other way, go until the cassette was finished, get up, change it the other side. So he was changing his soundtrack and repeat it with autopilot. And that's something I don't understand sometimes. Some people have been in the business for ages. So your business should be in your heart. When we say tell your story or talk about your names list or your dream chart, you shouldn't have to read a script anymore, especially those that are on our checks. This should all be in our hearts or in our minds, in our whole being. We're on autopilot when it comes to that. And also your story, also showing the people, they know if you are having a debate with them, or you're having a discussion with them, or you're lecturing them, or you're sharing with them. So get to know your business, get to know your products. But with this business, you don't have to wait until you know it all. Just go with your instinct and just do what you know it. You know it. And so our new soundtrack is, I am a leader. Change it. I'm a leader. I'm a leader. I attract good people. I attract leaders. I attract influencers. We're going to change the world. And you can. There's no reason why you can't. We can. One relationship at a time. I mean, how much influence has Charlie done to the whole world? And he hasn't done it on his own. I remember when Nigeria opened, it wasn't him. It was one of his downline. It wasn't him. When Ghana opened, it wasn't him. It was one of his downlines. All the countries, wasn't Charlie. Charlie will tell you himself, he built around himself in South Africa. It was his downlines that went out and built. He influenced them enough to make them influencers. And that is what we need to be doing with our people, making them influencers. So starting is fun in any business. It's fun. You sit down, you plan, you know where you're going, you're dreaming, you can see the big picture. It's so much fun and you're going for it. But the future is for finishers. Can you keep that momentum through your whole life, your whole career, your whole business? Are you a finisher? Will you finish it, or do you give up halfway, or any obstacle come along and then that's it, you drop out or you change direction? And the future is for finishers. We know that. I mean, when you read about how many times we've read stories about people who have failed so many times, they've come croppers so many times. John was sharing the other day about one, what's his name? Rose and Simon Jelly. He's lost his business 3 times through no fault of his own. It's just through unrest. And yet he said the business was in his head. They can't take that away from him. They've taken away his people, but they can't take the business away from him. And he's built it up, built it up, built it back up. And I think he's a diamond again. I think he's president's team. So he just keeps building it up, getting more people, gathering those that have maybe fallen away, picking them up again and carrying them through. He's a finisher. He's a finisher. Okay. Are your loudest soundtracks in your mind? And these are 3 ways you can check. First, is it true? So if someone's talking about something or whatever, is it true? Number 2, is it helpful? Is it going to help you, or is it going to hinder you? And number 3, is it kind? You only get to fix the mistakes that you own. So once you've acknowledged your mistake, and it's not his fault, her fault, their fault, It's my mistake. How am I going to fix it? And so change our sound tracks. And that's all I'm going to share tonight. And maybe we can just open it up and just ask everyone on the thing, how are you going to change your soundtrack? What is your soundtrack? I know one of my soundtracks is, yeah, I don't think it's the right time to phone anyone now. You know, it's supper time. I'll phone them after supper. Oh, no, it's too late. I'll phone them in the morning. Oh, no, they're getting ready for school. I'll phone them at lunchtime. I tell you, that's procrastination. Whoa! And I think we're all guilty. Change our mindset. They're waiting for my phone call. I'm going to phone them now. They'll tell me if they're not ready. I'll phone them when I've got the idea. I'll phone them. Yeah.
And once you phone them, you realize, shoot, it was so easy. Why was my mind confused, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, but to get
Taking the first step.
That's right. Action. Action.
There was a sermon that I listened to once, and they actually played a movie clip from, it was one of the Indiana Jones movies. And I think it was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And one of his challenges was he had to cross an invisible bridge across a bottomless chasm. And he looked at this and there was no way. He couldn't figure out where it was. But when he took the first step, suddenly it materialized. But he had to commit and take that first step before the bridge materialized. And that's always stuck over here because same thing. If you don't ask, the answer is no. And I tell people that virtually every single day.
Yeah.
If you don't ask, the answer is no. If you don't tell me, I assume everything is okay.
Yeah.
And that's human nature.
Yes. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yes, I was just thinking, so for me, if you don't try, when are you going to try? If it's not today, when? But I found with me, sometimes I say yes, and then I think, oh, what did I do now? I'm a pressure person, if you know what I mean. If you ask me, I said yes, I'll do it. And then I'll work on what I ever have to do, you know. It's just sometimes that the time is against me. That I hate with passion. Yeah, but just get going and organize.
Sometimes having a deadline works better.
Yeah.
If there's an open-ended, if there's an open-ended time, to me it's like not having a goal. And I know that is my biggest problem at the moment. There's no set goal. If I've got a deadline, I know I've got to have this done, like my Tuesday evening talks. I prep them ahead of time. But I know that my personal deadline is by Sunday evening, I have to be ready. And it doesn't matter what's happened up until then. My talk, I try and make sure that my presentations, however many weeks it takes, are completed by the Sunday evening. And then I know, right, now I can relax and it's done. But if I don't have that deadline, by Monday evening I'm going, So, and sometimes that pressure works better.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
Yeah, I like it as well.
I have to work on pressure too.
I can't say I always like it, but it good incentive.
Yeah, it's got to be done.
But it's the same as if you're going to do exercise. If you've got something you've committed to, then you're more likely to get it done. If it's like you need to exercise, but it doesn't matter when you do it, you think, sit in the chair and you think, well, I'll do it after supper, and by the time after supper, then you're too tired. Oh, well, I'll do it tomorrow, and it never happens.
That's what I like about our watch, because we've got so many steps that we have to do a day. Now we can leave it until we're about to go to bed and walk up and down the passage until we've got our steps. But that's not the way to do it.
For me, it is, I can't get out of my room if I didn't do my exercises.
Yeah.
So I just get up and I do it. And I think, oh, I'm feeling good. It wasn't that bad, you know.
But that's what I like about parkrun, is because I know I've already bullied half a dozen people during the week to come and join us at parkrun. And I know parkrun happens at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. It doesn't matter what the weather's like. I think that I can't remember a parkrun ever being cancelled, even when it was torrential downpours. So I know rain, shine, extreme heat, extreme cold, it's going ahead. And I've invited people, so I have to be there. 99% of the time nobody pitches, but that's beside the point. I'm there, so I've got to make sure that I'm there.
Yeah, that let me think when we were in the Berg. When I come out of my room, my daughter said to Mom, "Did you do your exercise?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Really?" So I was good. Every day in the Berg I did my exercise, on top of all the long walks we did.
Well done. John, what did you wanted to say?
Thanks, Stevie. I think definitely it's a positive mental attitude. It's what's in your mind and how you program yourself. How many times have you said, or you've been in a line, in a queue, at the supermarket, the bank, whatever, and you say, oh, I'm going to speak to that person. And as you go in there, you say, I wonder what I should say. That's what Debbie was saying this now. It's got to be an instinct thing. So you can actually talk yourself out of it. Even those beautiful phone calls, you say, you start assuming what they're going to tell you. But as you said this now, if you just go and do it, you've got to be disciplined with a deadline. 9 o'clock on Saturday or whenever you go to phone, that's when you're going to phone. If they say, no, I'm going to phone until I get a yes, or I'm going to phone 10 calls, and then just go for it. And you actually find after the first couple, you might make a blunder there, but then it starts becoming easier and easier. It's when you don't do it for a while that your mind starts trying to think about what you're going to say, and it's not an instinct, it's not natural. So if your PMA, your positive mental attitude, is up here, and the rest of the people are lower there, you don't bulldoze them. You can actually chat to them and with a lot of confidence. But if they've got a better PMA than you, and you're down here, you're going to struggle. So self-talk, I think, is so important. And just the last thing, that ADT yesterday was absolutely phenomenal. Sean, you put together perhaps the best ADT I've heard in terms of content, and the whole ADT was absolutely spot on. Well done to Jenny and all those people who spoke. They were really good. Well done. I applaud you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. So are we looking forward to our check tomorrow, or are we disappointed? Whatever it is,
Could have been better.
make sure you improve on it this month.
You look at the check and say, go to the mirror and say, thank you, boss.
Yeah, thank you, boss.
I'd like an increase, please.
Yes.
Pull
Yeah,
up
what's
your
the-
socks.
What's the boss going to tell you?
Pull up your socks. Says I'm
Work
sick.
harder.
Just be kind on yourselves.
Yeah, be kind. Be kind.
Be kind.
Yeah.
Be
Don't become a
kind.
victim. Don't become a victim. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for coming
Okay,
on.
Tatty. God bless you all.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
Have a lovely week.
We see you
Uh,
on
tomorrow.
Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
Have a good
Monday.
lunch.
All right.
Monday.